it is almost time for the calm before the storm. The big Duel Links updates have been revealed for August, and so we now know what's going to be happening going into September, which is going to be the big month, right? The New World update month, the GX revamp, Rush Duels getting ritual summoning, anything can happen. We'll see if this update kind of hints as to one of those things happening. We'll have to find out, but of course, Cal available today via Event 2. Want to go and get in, get your style. That's pretty cool. But let's go through the new updates. Now, first of all, we have Turbo Duel GP returning for the first time in a good couple of months, right? It's been a while. Getting TG1 EM1, which is a trap card, and High Rate Draw, which I've not really seen before, so we'll look at them in a minute. But also, more interestingly, is Duelist Road getting a DM event based on Duelist Kingdom. Now, if you're an old head, you will know Duelist Kingdom in Duel Links was told by the Duelist Chronicles event, the set sail for the Kingdom event. That was so long ago, right? 2016, 2017, around that time, we had those events, and this is fine to revisit, I think, but we just had a Duelist Road for VRAINS, giving us a VARAS ult style. So, are they going to, from now on, in Duelist Roads, give us ult styles? Because they could easily give us a Pegasus ult style, right? There's a couple of outfits they could choose from. You could go down the his archaeological survey outfit. You can go down the videotape outfit, which would kind of align with the description here about the video message, right? So it would kind of align with getting that ult style. Would it be a big one, a big deal? No. It might be like VARAS, where there's no voice lines, but I hope so, because we're missing so many voice lines from Toon Chaos. And of course, there are new Toon cards coming out in the TCG in a few months' time, so hopefully, if there is one happening, then that happens. But we don't know, right? Like, as we saw with VARAS, they didn't say anything about an ult style until, like, the week of its announcement, right? So, we'll have to wait and see if anything happens with that one. Of course, we could hope for a DM World level cap increase. It won't happen because they're at 45 already, but that would be, like, incredible. But it does also kind of, to me, hint that they might be going down the route of let's retell Duelist Kingdom, and then Battle City, and eventually get to Waking the Dragons, right? And so we're going to be waiting for a long, long time to get through Valen, Raphael, and Darts, and then eventually go to Siegfried and Leon or whatever for the other filler arcs of the anime, right? Eventually, so it would be like the first. It's going to be the first, the first year in Duel Links history where the New World update, the September update, hasn't been fully completed, I guess, by next year. Right? We always see the key art. We see those characters released by the same update next year. This year, it's not going to happen, which is really, really weird. But also, I think it's fine because those characters don't have cards to bring, so they are kind of inconsequential in a way. And if that gives them more time to, give Darts a deck, import his anime support, then by all means, go for that. That'll be good. Late August is a brand new character, Time to Shine, Bravery and Resolve Circuit, of course being a VRAINS character. This one is going to be Blue Gal. Now, if you aren't familiar with VRAINS, Blue Gal is the middle version of Blue Angel. She goes Blue Angel into Blue Gal for like 20 episodes or something, and then goes to Blue Maiden once she meets Aqua, and then we have the Awakeness War kind of going on, and that good arc of the show. This is like the middle ground. She plays Trixars, this gave her fusions, but of course in Duel Links, we know we've got them all already, right? We've got all of her original support by Reincarnation. There is of course new support coming out, or there was new support a couple of years ago, which obviously she's going to bring. But me personally, I was kind of hoping that we'd get Blue Maiden, we'd get the Emergency stuff. That is way more what I want to see in Duel Links Speed Duel, and it just feels a bit weird, right? Because we've got Soulburn and Flame as an ult style, we've got VARAS as an ult style, but when Blue Gal, who plays the same deck as Blue Angel, isn't being treated as an ult style, right? Like, I get, like, character-wise, it is meant to be a separate character, right? She's meant to be, like, letting go of her idol persona and, being a bit more free, I guess. But it just seems a little bit off, how they're kind of treating ult styles in general, right? Like, we get some like VARAS that they have no care into. We get Soulburn and Flame, which has like a medium amount of care or whatever, and then you have like the arc of the 5 ones where they get the red carpet rolled out for them in comparison, right? But we'll see how things kind of develop. Of course, new card wise, we have TG1 from the Duelist Road, the Turbo Duel GP. This being a TG support card, it's not very good. It is a creature swap. It's a very slow creature swap, but it is a creature swap nonetheless. High Rate Draw is another new trap we're getting. So you destroy 2 monsters you control, and if you do draw 1 card for each one of them, or for every 2 destroyed. So you're destroying 2 to draw 1, and then if it's in the grave in your opponent's main phase, you can target monster you control, destroy it, and set this card. Yeah, this, like, unless you need to play, like, Unchained or something, right, to trigger the destruction and get the benefits off, right? Like, that's the only real way I'd see this being decent. I say decent in air quotes, right? Being playable. Angelaria is a weird one, right? It's a water spellcaster, and you could play this in theory in Marincess, right? And so it feels a bit weird that they're promoting this very close to the Blue Gal event, you know, where we should be getting Blue Maiden with Marincess, but obviously we're not. If we go and look at Trickstar real quick, in terms of like what we got, right? This was, I believe, like the cards you played in the show, of course, so it was a Blue Angel event and drop card. So they've already kind of covered it. So I don't want this card to be the one to get the animation, but I think it will. Kind of like we saw with Blackwing, right, with Crow, our master getting animation, I think we will. Of course, they're missing a new fusion, they're missing the Noble Angel. Aqua Angel, right, is a Trickstar and Marissa's card, like, at the same time. So I could see them giving this in the box, and then forcing you, when Blue Maiden does eventually come, to go back into this box and the old Trickstar box, because I got the Link 2 already in that box as super rare. For some weird reason. It's generic, but, you know, for some reason they put that one in early. I don't think we'll see Reincarnation. I think there's way too many chances for this to be kind of toxic, and yeah, they just won't do it. But the rest of these probably are all kind of fair game, right to come. And so, you know, I could see myself getting back into Speedo, as I say, every time a character comes. I'm really interested in a deck that comes. If it's a mini box, then maybe. Now, does this tell us anything about September, right? Because this event will end on, I believe, September 4th. It starts on the 24th, I believe, based on the maintenances we have from the ban list. So you've got 10-ish days, 11 days of this event going to September. You've then probably got, if we're being smart about it, because it's been 2 months at that point since any Rush content, you'll probably get the Osaka rerun. Before the Varus rerun, which, you know, that was before in the normal timeline. In this timeline, we're going to swap them around. You'll get the Osaka rerun, and that will happen 61 days-ish, 6 days-ish after the original, and that follows the exact time frame as Sabaraman, as Zero did. Right, that'll be perfectly lined, that'll be good. You can then, of course, go and do, you know, the Varus rerun if you want to as well, in the same month, but then, if we look at last year, we had a 7th character, Rushal character, and a box during Worlds, and then, of course, September was a big Speedo update. If we're getting a Speedo character in late August, does that mean we're getting a bigger update for Rush Duel in end of September? It could do. It could do. And obviously, the big thing there is, like, what could they bring? Ritual Summoning is, like, the only big thing I think you'd roll out the red carpet for. You wouldn't bother doing a new world update or a bunch of, you know, additions to a world if you weren't bringing out something major for Rush Duel. So a new mechanic, like Ritual, of course, they could bring that. And they could bring it with Mission Black Chaos, and have that be the crossover between Speed Duel and Rush Duel, and hopefully bring in some new players to that format for a bit, before you then go, of course, into October, and you have, you know, back to Speed Duel focus. You could even, you know, give a bunch of characters for Rush Duel, and then forget about the world until we get through to, you know, December time. Focus on getting the DM world kind of things into gear, right? Going down the Valen route and the Raphael route, and you could do that. But we don't know, of course. We are going to find out, hopefully, in a month's time, our Worlds, right? And it's weird they've not put Worlds in here. They usually put the World Championships, like, in this announcement as, like, a thing you can, like, watch to kind of hype up, but they've not put it in here. I think I'm going to quickly go and check on DLM real quick. Last year, they did have... Okay, no, I'm just completely lying. They didn't have it last year, so that's perfectly fine. But, like, if we're on the topic of Rush Duel, right, we're going to go Ritual Monsters. Database isn't fully up to date, it's lacking. But, like, if you were looking at things to bring in early, not necessarily all the support, you would probably go for something like BLS or Mission of Black Chaos, right? You would go for something iconic, something people know, and that is one way to kind of drive up interest in that world, that format, especially when, at the moment, you're in a little bit of a tier 0 or tier 1 best deck metagame, right, with Worms, and no real sign of any changes before Worlds, right? So it'd be weird to get a Rush Duel box alongside Total GP but I wouldn't rule it out. Right, I wouldn't rule out getting a deck build or something small to give us some random support cards. That could happen before Worlds, but I don't think we'll see anything kind of on the degree of last year, where we had Batarion and Shiny Shady. I just don't see that happening, personally. But let me think down below of the August updates. Hopefully, hopefully this Duelist Road is going to be good. And again, if they are going to be using this more going forward, then hopefully they continue to bring All-Stars with it. Right, I think that makes sense, right? You make them feel like a bigger deal than they are. Things like Mokuba and Taya just kind of being thrown out there and not given, like, the time of day, really. Should probably, like, have been an event reward or something, to at least, like, make the game feel like there's a lot more content than there is, because we are surprisingly, we are on track with last year at the moment in terms of character unlocks, right? It does feel like, we're in a worse spot than we are, because of course we have so many All-Stars happening, but they are in addition to what we'd have last year. Obviously, compared to years prior, it's a bit down, right? Those were like 15 characters per year. Last year was 12 with some All-Stars. So I think, so we hopefully are going to be kind of on the same path. But we'll see. This Duelist Road event could literally just be that, and then not be an All-Star. And we could like hype this up to be something it's not. We love doing that in Duelist community. Hopefully also, like, with this Blue Gal event, we finally get level cap increase for VRAINS, right? I think, like, despite the fact I think she should be an All-Star, right, and then Blue Maiden being an actual character, this is a good thing if there is level cap increase, because VRAINS World has such a small amount of characters at the moment that a cap increase in that world wouldn't feel that great, right, compared to other worlds. So I do think that, like, in this situation, it's probably fine if you are looking at it from a raw, I want to get value out of the game, I want to get gem value. Having more characters on All-Stars in VRAINS World is a good thing. So hopefully we see more VRAINS characters going forward. And again, kind of like DM World for the filler arc, VRAINS has a bit of an issue in card pool. Right, you've got a lot of characters that haven't got real decks. So we'll see how they plan to string us along even further. Right, we'll have to wait and see all that. But overall, I'm fairly happy with August as a whole. Just hopefully they can knock us out of the park, and also for this one, knock us out of the park as well, and give us a good mini box, or potentially a good main box if the plan is to have Rush Duel be the focus in end of September. They could do that and go main box, into main box, into a main box in October. We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. Adios.